Well, welcome to GuildIt, and we're going to have for you today Ted Hinrichs. But before we have him on stage, let me tell you a little bit more about what you can experience today and a little bit more about GuildIt. So, um, so GuildIt's been around for 7 years, and we're looking to expand from our events into studio spaces for visual artists and co-working spaces for poets and such. And this is more about a forum of what you're going to experience today and help grow the Kansas City economy and our culture. So our team consists of GK Callahan, and we have Sam Gaines behind the video. And we definitely want to thank the Bunker for this fabulous gallery we're in and our many other donors. So our format is we'll have our presenter Ted talk about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll do Q&A following to help grow his business and learn about growing other businesses that are still entrepreneur and get marketing tips and such. And then we'll do Smart Biz announcements. And then without further ado, let me introduce Ted. So painter Ted Hinrichs has shown at several galleries, including the Weinberger Fine Art Gallery, and this has been after decades of a CEO at a business supply store, and he had brought these skills to art entrepreneurism. Since 2019, he has successfully had art shows at the Weinberger, Hotel Indigo, and many others. Ted is also represented by the Swanky Interior Design Gallery. Let's expand his business, yours, plus the arts and the economy. Ted?
Again, I'm Ted Hinrichs, and I am an abstract painter. I am,
And stand by that.
okay,
Yeah, and stand by your slides so they can focus on the slides and you.
here?
Yep.
Okay, great. I am Ted Hinrichs, and I am an abstract painter. I started out like most abstract painters. I began enjoying drawing what I saw and making it as realistic as possible. And then I started to move on a little bit and abstract it a little bit. And I got more into painting all of the time. As I worked more and more, I started enjoying slopping some paint around and the heaviness of it, the lightness of it, and the things that it could bring to my painting that I wasn't able to do in my more realistic things. So I would say that I'm probably an abstract expressionist. I still like to have some sort of a muse for it. A lot of times it is a narration. I have done some narrations, like at the Habitat Gallery, I did a spiritual, where do you find spirit? Where do you find your peace and that sort of thing through my paintings and a little bit of dialogue at the same time. But lately I have moved to even more abstraction. I have moved from having the narrative to looking more into my intuitive thoughts as I go into my painting. I'm trying, and what is happening is I really feel as though it is bringing me far more in depth in what I put in, and I'm enjoying it more. I'm finding that I am kind of searching through my inner being as I do just what is intuitive at the time. So that is where I am painting wise. It was about, I went into the Kansas City Art Institute. I'm going to go back through that, but I just wanted to tell you that the more recent things was that I started actually in more of the selling and working world one night when I went to a First Friday. And I went by Bico Flowers, and I saw something there that I really liked. And I went inside and I started talking with the person that was there selling the artwork and so on. So I started talking with her, and eventually she said, well, why don't you send me your stuff? And I did, and so a little bit later, we had a show. I found out later that Courtney Wassoon was that person, and then she sent me to Weinberger Fine Art, where I painted for a while. I think that I wasn't quite the quality of Weinberger Fine Art, but I learned an awful lot. Kim taught me a bunch about being a real professional. A little bit about me again is that I was in business for 30 years before I started into artwork for real. In my family, my mother and father had a business, and it was for me to join the business after I completed college. And this was just known that that's what was going to happen. So after high school, I did go to college. I enrolled at Southwest Missouri State. I was a wrestler there at Southwest Missouri State. But at the same time, and this is 1970, there was a war going on, the Vietnam War. And people were being drafted. I made the decision, an opportunity came up for me to join the Air Force Reserve. So I did. I had to drop out of school, but I was able then to do a career in, well, it's not a career, but I do my time in the service and also possibly go back to college at the same time. As long as we weren't deployed, then I could go to college at the same time. And that's what happened. So I ended up that my duty was in the intelligence office at Richards Gebaur Air Force Base in Kansas City. So I enrolled in KU. And at KU, it was during the very liberal years of college in KU. KU came up with this, and I entered in business because it was what was expected. But KU came up with a program through liberal arts that as long as you fulfilled your basic requirements, as long as you did enough upper level classes, you could take whatever you wanted. I painted and did literature and did sociology, and I loved it. I loved it. It was great. But after I graduated from KU, my father had a heart attack and subsequently a stroke. Was no longer to be in the business. And so I entered the business myself with my mother. We were a great team, actually. I had wacky ideas and she was a great administrator. We had good employees and we were doing just fine. Until the addition of Walmart started becoming very popular. All of a sudden, we sold office supplies, Office Depot, the Max, all of those showed up. And the bigger companies were starting to just take over any of the smaller ones. They have incredible advantages. And now you're going to find this is relevant later as I start to talk. That they're subsidized by the government, millions of dollars. They are so great at advertising that they don't need any assistance. You don't need professionalism anymore. All you need, and everything is a commodity. What's scary is that I can foresee from my experience that artwork is maybe that they're really going to try and make artwork a commodity and sell it just like everything else. The thing is, though, that during that time, it also presented opportunities. That with creative thinking, you can combat that sort of thing because people still want to talk to people. People really, yes, there are all those things that you can get through the internet. There's all those things that you can get maybe cheaper and so on. But people don't really always trust what comes on the internet. They trust someone they're talking to. I also think that there are ways that you can combine that we as a group, if we group together, maybe all under one name, and if we get our finances all together, that we can find ways to compete with that portion of what might be coming. And we also need to accept whatever technology, the best possible technology we can. As you look through places where I say that this is going to be relevant, was that there's a war going on. It's very expensive, just like the Vietnam War was. There's oil issues. Oil is very expensive, the same way as there was an embargo during the days that I was talking about. And so those circumstances bring recession. And I looked up the recession, and during each one of these big recessions is a time period when the bigger companies come in and they start trying to edge you out. But we can compete by still being personal, using technology. We can be faster with our technology, we can be better with our technology, and we can compete. So that actually is what I had to tell you.
Great, thank
Thank you.
Do you want to talk in your process?
Well, actually, I did talk about my process a little bit. What I would choose a narrative and put that in. And in doing that, that would usually come from a concept that I had, that's something that I either studied or came up with. Something like time, something like hope. Hope came from a painting that I made that's now in the Indigo Hotel collection. That I gleaned some thoughts from a mission trip that I was on in Guatemala, and I saw a condition of extreme hope and extreme despair. That there were people that were similar, but some seemed to be happy, and some were obviously not. So when I started to pick out my palette, and I started to pick out my form and line, it was a big contrast between the darkness and the sharpness of despair to the softness and light and colorful of hope. And they ran together in kind of a stream because as I saw it, it was in the same places. And that was how I discovered that, or how I put together that particular palette. And I've kind of used that same one end to the other, and then move, in other words, light, dark, and then move it in.
Great. And then on the technical side, so your pieces take about a week to do each
Yeah,
piece?
it really depends. It probably takes a week or so. I'm really experimenting a lot with new materials, and one of them is to make better work. The other is to try and cut my expenses.
Right, because you're at break even right now,
I'm at break even.
and we want to help you propel forward and go beyond break even to making a nice income from your art.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yes.
okay. Anything else you want to add on the process before we go to the operations?
One thing is that I drug myself into the new computer age. My website is, I tried to do a website myself, and I ended up destroying the entire thing. So I've hired a professional to do a website for me. I'm in the process of doing that, where I will be able to sell and will be able to reach different types of media with that website.
Yeah, and you have your wife helping you with the business as well?
Yes, my wife actually in the later days helped me with the other business, and she is, I need to have her because I'm all over the place. I'm a creative thinker, and that's as far as it goes. She is the exact opposite. She was a school teacher, a math teacher, and by golly, I can use that. And so she helps me with all of those things.
Terrific. I have a partner who's a life partner who's also a controller. So
Yeah.
he handles all
Oh, good.
the business
That's great.
budgets as well. So yeah, he's a good resource for me, and a good balance. But and you just finished work of art classes at the at the Artist Coalition, as well as they've been in other places here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I've shown.
Or no, the work of art classes. So, and these are classes
Yes. In
which
fact,
teach business skills.
yeah, and I am full in for what I learned out of that class. It was a very good class, and it started to give me bring back some of these thoughts of when I was in business and what worked and what didn't as well. But it was very helpful, and I've gone full in with what I learned from that class.
And then, did you talk? I see here on your marketing, you're doing primarily from galleries.
Yes.
And then, are you? And then you're developing your site, and we'll have a shopping cart then as well.
I will.
And then also, have you done anything on Instagram or Facebook to try to sell your work, or is there plans to?
I will slowly drag myself into that. Yes.
Okay, great. And having the website will help as well, because then you can just refer them to the website. I mean, some people have done transactions over Instagram as well. So it's whatever your comfort level is.
Yeah.
Whether just to give them a simple link and send them to the site or such.
The intention is that when my website is up and my abilities, that everything will lead to the website, and then it'll be set up for me to do whatever I need to do in the selling process.
Okay, great.
And I'll be able to accept money and everything that's necessary.
Yeah, good deal. And yeah, so you're working with someone already, and so most of the work has been sold to individuals at homes.
Yes, most everything has been in a residence that I have sold, other than the Hope. Well, and a couple others went to a hospital, but.
Yeah, and who'd you sell those to the hospital? Did you get a connection to sell those?
Yes, that was through Weinberger, and I actually can't remember who it was.
Yeah, well, Weinberger is fantastic though, and you know your work has a wonderful abstract quality to where I could easily see it within the business realm. For instance, Vanessa Lacey, she actually works on huge pieces. And
yes, I'm familiar with Vanessa's work.
So she works, and she identified her two primary clients of those pieces as businesses, and also homes in southern Johnson County that have large space like that. So two, Have you looked at and identifying clients so you can target a certain group?
Yes and no. I have some clients, well, I have one that is in Mission Hills that I'm doing work for.
Mhm.
As far as expanding from that, basically got from the gallery to the home, I haven't done a lot with that. I haven't expanded into other venues. Also, I haven't expanded into beyond the basic Kansas City area, which I'd like to expand Overland Park as just a beginning, and then expand into different areas that I can around the nation.
Yeah, Interurban Art House has some wonderful shows.
Yes, Interurban is my next visit.
Okay, terrific.
Not today, but.
Yeah, great.
And by the way, just the Interurban and Kansas City Artists Coalition, if for a business group, it's already set in place and might be a really good way to start looking at buying from manufacturers and doing some of those sort of things that can reduce the cost for artists, and a big thing would be for multimedia through, okay.
Yeah. And then
That's great.
you got a great goal here of, so to make $10,000 annual profit in 3 years, to
Yeah.
increase my profit annually by 20+%. So that's a great goal to have. And start measuring yourself against, and we'll brainstorm more on that after the presentation. I think we just have a couple more slides to get through, and then we'll do some brainstorming with you.
Okay.
So we talked a bit about adapting to new markets and trends.
Yeah, expanding into new markets, and actually since the workshop and the loss of my website, I've just been hiding, preparing myself and trying to get those things together so I can go out with all my guns blazing rather than, yes, I'd really like to do, but I don't have a website right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, so two, definitely, you've probably learned about what kind of things work as far as social media posts and such.
No, not really.
Oh, not through your, and those, you can easily find business articles online, like the top 5 marketing tips for Instagram, the 5 top marketing tips for Facebook. So they're easy enough to do, and in research, so, and not taxing, so.
Yes, I understand that's a necessity, and I recently have started to do a little bit on Instagram. Mostly my wife picks up the phone and says, "Ted, you've got it," and she'll answer them for me, so. That works well for me, but I know that can't go on forever. I'm gonna have to do it myself.
Works for now, right?
Yes. But part of the training was setting aside time, particular times in order to do that. And that's just what I'll have to do.
So why don't we start off on, well, first of all, we want to thank you for your presentation and taking your time to put together your ideas and your business for us, and coming on down and helping us let you grow. So thank you very much, Ted.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate that very much.
And then,
I was too.
Oh.
I got lost.
yeah. Yeah, the bunker is on the east end, the crossroads, away from many of the other galleries. But with that too, they have wonderful space. More space than many galleries do because of that.
Oh, I'd like to hear.
And Shelley has a wonderful, Shelley Pinto's here with us, and she has a wonderful show going on. So we encourage you to come on down and see what there's 6 galleries here. So, okay, great. So why don't we start off with some questions, and we'll have you talking to the mic so the Facebook can pick it up, because we have some viewers on Facebook, and we'll gain some viewers by the a lot more by the end of the day. So does anybody want to start off our questions? Yeah.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Okay, no math, no math, no spelling.
No math, no spelling.
No big words.
I would like to know, where would you like to see your art? Where are the places that you would like to see your art?
Museum. I think right now I'm in a stage where I'm comfortable with the homes. I'm comfortable with being in somebody's space where they're living all the time and something that they want to look at every day. That's fine. That's actually fine with me. I think that's probably my preference, but I'm certainly not going to limit that. If an office came to me and said, we need some paintings for your office, sure. Just about anywhere that they would be seen and appreciated, I think I would be fine with that. I would like to even expand into other, like I said, there are places where I would like to, as a retired guy, be able to stay for a while. It'd be really wonderful to do some artwork, have some artwork in those places, and also maybe be showing there and selling there and go and visit there at the same time. So I think that's about all of that question I can cover. Sure, ask what you want.
This is have question,
I like that
have
question.
suggestion. So
Sure.
question/suggestion. How can you let people into your process more?
James, that's a great question. And in my process, in my narration part of it, I would include in my title a question that went along with, like in my spiritual series, I would write a question that is, do you find that in the quiet you feel more spiritual? Do you find that you get spiritual feelings from anger? And then I would leave them open-ending. I would not try and have any conclusions in my process. And the paintings themselves would be totally abstracted. You could, when you looked, you might be able to make out some of the things. And like as I would do my painting of hope, where I would specifically put in particular colors, that sort of thing. I would hope that those are picked out from time to time. Plus, it's probably the very best part of it is when we would have an opening and I'm able to talk to people about these open-ended questions and have discussions with them. I have thought about doing a blog in addition to on my website, in addition to showing my paintings about what that narrative might be. However, now I am in the midst of switching to more of a personal type of muse, but that still could be an open-ended question. What was I thinking? Why?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said you want to be more like in a museum in the end, or I don't know. Does that mean like the Nelson or?
Yeah.
Okay. But I was kind of wondering about like call for entry and things like that are out of state, juried shows and things like. Do you do those, or are you interested in that, or is it more through the galleries or private showings, or I'm just curious.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
Yes, presently, you kind of get comfortable,
Yeah,
and it's time to be uncomfortable again.
right.
And yes, I would like to start more juried shows than those here that are in Kansas City, or even ones that are in Kansas City.
Sometimes it's, interesting to see what they end up taking in some of these shows in comparison to what you offer. I mean, I know I find that curious, and then that builds up your CBC. That might be a stepping stone to, larger, more prestigious, like bigger galleries, museums, that kind of thing, which is hard. I think it's a big thing
to jump into, and
yeah.
you're certainly
Yeah.
going to find out how good you are at that.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily how good you are. I just think that it makes you look at what a juror is looking for. Because every juror, they're all different.
Mhm.
And what might appeal to one is not going to appeal to that.
But I certainly agree with you that I've been content to just paint and put things out there.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Yeah.
there's
Which
not.
is nice.
But what I'm thinking is that the process of getting my work out, selling my work, is maybe another fun thing to do. It's a whole, I've done it before, so I don't really mind the selling and doing that sort of thing. And I hate technology, but I will, James. Don't say anything. Because I need you, buddy.
Another thing I might add is that, part of your Instagram or things like that are sharing your process.
Mhm.
That people are curious about how you apply paint or, building up your painting. It's interesting to people.
Actually, that's very,
And sometimes your posts don't need to be complicated.
I think that's very astute, and that we were talking a little earlier about the person, that the customer or the patron, whatever, wants to feel like they know you and trust you. And I would like to get that.
It's hard to, for artists, I know we're all very private and I'm very much kind of a hermit at times.
Yes.
And then to actually let other people in to see that part of your world, it's difficult.
Dying battery.
All right, to expand on what's being said, another connection to make that many may not think of is interior design shows. A lot of the local interior designers have shows. You can get a booth, or you can just run by, drop off your business cards. Sometimes they're very busy shows, and you can just follow up with interior designers later, get their business card. And these are designers, they do homes, but they also do businesses. Architecture firms do businesses. Some of the architecture firms have galleries of their own in which you can display your work. And I think Swanky may give you some more insight into the interior design realm because they're such a great resource for interior designers.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, so I would check with them on that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would talk with a good gallery, a starter museum here in the area is the Albright Kemper in St. Joe, Missouri.
Yeah, I've been there. Okay.
Okay, and I would check with artists who've shown there. For instance, Jane Booth has shown there. She's part of the Artist Coalition, as well as Robin Van Hooser. There's several people.
Well, Robin, I've seen her work there, in fact.
Yeah, and I would ask them, what was their stepping stone to get there? Were there pivotal shows they've had, or that got them into that gallery, and I would, or museum, and I would, and another museum too, which is the next stepping stone, is the is it the Dom Museum in
Lawrence?
no, the one, oh shoot, no, I just, that's all sorry, Sedalia, the one in
Yeah, there's
Sedalia.
one in, yes, that, I thought of that one too.
Yeah, and I know, Jane Booth did a show there in early 2020. So I would find out what those artists had done to get into those museums, and definitely, they've shown work in some great galleries to get there, and those would, those are definitely memento stepping stones on your way to your ultimate goal.
These are, I really appreciate these tips. You're right. And I think in a lot of cases, I know that, but every day it's, well, let's see, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe you've got me off of the
It's
procrastination.
kind of hard to, sometimes pick up your phone and just do video,
Uh-huh.
But you can see I do it because I got paint all over my phone.
I was in the same conversation with that about sharing your process. It's like when people see it, they can get the finished product a little bit more, or at least something about it resonates with them. I can't remember his last name right now, but he's also an abstract artist, John. And what he's done a great job with in social media at least,
Mhm.
has been none of the videos are very long. They're maybe 15 seconds, and we don't have the attention spans anymore, so
I never did.
15 seconds, and they're popular audios that boost your videos.
Okay.
It's an algorithmic thing where many people use the same audio, and because of that, an algorithm rewards it and allows more people to see those type of videos. So, and there are people that tell you what these audios are, but the basis of it is pretty simple. 10 to 15 seconds, popular audio, and they merge together. And
Now that's an audio that is separate
This one
from
is-
actually your painting or
Yes.
your artwork.
And luckily, like if you were to use Instagram and they tie in with Facebook as well, like you can post on one and then post on the other.
Yeah, that's magic. I've
been
done
great.
that.
But they have these audios that you can choose from once you've made a video, and you'd have to do a little searching. There are literally people that say, use this audio, and it's a popular audio, and you see results from it. Not all the time, but it's an algorithmic reward.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
And that's something you could do too, to create a discussion online. Use, a quick video just using one of your questions. And you can do that. It can be a video or it can be a still picture, and you can put it in the text. But but especially the video, that'll get a little bit more circulation. You'll probably get some wonderful answers and discussion on that.
I want to be sure this is all being recorded so I can.
Yeah.
Another way to do in process that I just learned
Mhm.
is using clips or iMovies. You can take the still shots that I take every day after I'm done painting.
Mhm.
You can take those and just place them into a video. So you don't have to do the video while you're working, but you can show your process through using either of those apps, and they're real easy to use. And they do have the audio.
I've heard
available on
audios
those.
that would say, I
Yeah.
couldn't make videos, so here are pictures, and it
Right,
works
but
well,
but it shows up as a video, but it's a screenshot of each one of
Yeah.
the pieces as you
It's a template.
progress.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
used those.
Yeah.
And it seems to be, it's very rewarding.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot more
And you
likes.
visually,
Yeah.
it really just pops in there.
And you can so you're taking like daily.
Right, yeah, when I'm done,
Mhm.
before I leave for the day, I take a quick picture.
And so those
I
come
can
up.
assess it overnight, and then when I'm done, I'll go into either Clips or iMovie, select which of those I want to put into a reel, put some music with it
Oh,
and just post that and it shows up as a movie, but you're not having to video yourself.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I do too, because I don't like video.
I don't mind showing myself. Now, as the years go by, I like it less, but, anyway, okay.
Right, no,
We
yeah,
digress.
okay. I don't
digress
mind
again.
being filmed, I hate seeing it, so that.
Yeah.
Are there other questions that you have on your challenges?
No, I think you've gone beyond.
Oh, my phone is in, no. It's a.
I think a lot of what is going to happen is after I get my website in, that I start to build. You think that's right, James? That after I get my website in and start building on what it can do?
In my personal experience with the websites,
Okay,
especially for having very specific products, it would be great to build the body of work, but to have too many things, myself and others will get lost as to why we landed on this site. So I've seen a lot of art websites that are very straightforward to the body of work, almost like this is a portfolio more than a website, but you can purchase things from this portfolio.
I think that's the way I'm setting it up.
Yeah.
So there's a better way to do that.
In blogging certain words that people would do searches on. For instance, I used to be a web designer, and I have a website that still comes up. My web design comes up very easily because I incorporated search words in the name of the pages, in the titles of the pages, and definitely throughout the text. I made some of those search words links, which also puts it higher in the market. So you can do a lot of blogging with those keywords and to increase your website ranking. But you can just also have the developer also work with he can work with a marketer, or he can find these key search words within your industry using different apps. And then if they're built into the title, they're built into the page name, and they're built into the body of the text, then you don't have to do too much marketing with your website thereafter, except maybe I would definitely continue to add sites, pictures, and those pictures, add some keywords to those pictures, your artwork, and then also either attach your social media to it.
I think for me, I've heard all these words, so I understand that they need to be in it. But how do I get started in doing it?
Also answer to this as well.
Yeah.
And I ran into those SEO backlinks and all. It's so frustrating, but it's rewarding. But it's very frustrating.
I've gotten the frustrating
But-
part.
The words, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, my main site is just 7 pages long, and then but I have a blog, and so as well, that's probably 40 some articles before I stop blogging.
Okay.
So
I think the blogs are I think the blogs are good with those keywords.
Yeah.
I will say that.
but
You
go
may
ahead.
not remember the names of them, but it is being recorded. So
Yes.
backlinks.
Name them all real quick, please.
The backlinks, and similar to what you were saying with the words. So on your website, on her website, and in her blog, she has several repeated words like abstract artist or abstract artist in Kansas City. And then you would get blogs that say abstract artist in Kansas City. Or maybe this is just an example theme. And then you'd be featured in something that said abstract artist in Kansas City. And then you would be in an art show that said abstract artist in Kansas City.
And
all
then
these
that
things.
multiplies and
And every time
exponentially starts to send more stuff out.
And not send more stuff out. It almost builds authority for your website or for your site that you would then take these links and put them all on your website to show I've been featured here. I've had this blog. I was in this gallery. And every time that they would go there, it could backlink to your site. And then your site could backlink to that article. And it's kind of building a web, like a spider web of you being more reachable on the internet, if that makes sense. But it goes back to those words. They have to be repeated and they have to be shared on everything that you do. And this is where it gets tedious, is that you got to keep doing it. You have to keep,
You have to name the keywords in the background of your site, so for it to be the ones that keep.
Well, even like too, there's artists who are on Facebook, and I'll search for their name, and if someone used their name in a Facebook post, then they come up on Facebook, or they come up on Google. So even in the contacts, if when you do a post, don't feel compelled, but if it comes natural within the dialogue, saying my spiritual abstract pieces, instead of saying my work, just say my spiritual abstract pieces.
Okay.
Or my spiritual abstract paintings, I'm sorry.
So all of a sudden, spiritual becomes one of those words that someone else might be interested in. And
or color.
Okay.
They're trying to match their collections or such.
I know
I use yellow, repeatedly because it brings, or just it's.
So someone's looking at it and they want yellow for their room.
and they could stumble upon your work. They may not even be looking for yellow paintings anymore, but because you've used the phrase or the word so much, it's been associated with those words. And I can be looking for yellow shoes, and then a little further down, I have yellow spiritual painting because it's always connected to yellow. And you start encroaching into people's lives that you didn't already have there.
So I have, in my website, I have this column that says tags. Is that the same thing?
Yeah. And then too, and I hadn't even thought of this, but you can show at different churches have galleries. And those people are definitely collectors of spiritual works. Unity, quite a few in the around the plaza area as well.
That's interesting. I got my first prize from painting from a Lutheran. It was down in the plaza. That's, and I guess my work would certainly fit in.
So any other comments, questions? You
It
can.
is really.
I mean, we can send. So
James, will you come live with me for a while?
Yes. So thanks for going as far down as you can.
That's right.
Yeah, whatever easily.
That rabbit may got away with it.
No, it's been really helpful, you guys. I have shivers.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, is there any last questions? We have about 10 minutes left.
Can we find you or can we get your social media information before we leave so we can follow your journey?
Sure.
All right, I will look that.
And then, is your work always present at Swank Gallery?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Swanky.
so Swanky.
In fact, I have I have 10 or 12 paintings there right now that I had a showing there for the month of October.
Yeah.
So, and Swanky has a. Have you ever been to or heard of their 35th in Maine? Okay. Well, it's Swanky. Their name's Main Street Swanky. And they're at 35th or 34th in Maine. You can park in the back, which is kind of because they're on Main and it's a mess, obviously. And I do have several paintings that will be there, I know, today and tomorrow. I don't know if they'll be there after that or not. And they're, okay, and they're going to have a Day of the Dead tomorrow. And there's an interesting group that comes in, and very sophisticated group that comes in and likes to hang and swanky. So I would advise that you go there, and I'll be there, of course.
Yeah, and then you've shown there sporadically too throughout the year.
Yeah,
Throughout the last couple of years.
Yeah, I have.
Well, good. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding your market. Artists Inc. likes to use the example of they have artists who does ceramics with the vampire theme, and actually their hottest selling day is not Halloween, it's Valentine's Day, because there's couples who are into vampires and they love buying pieces for each other. so it's just a matter, you have a market out there. It's just a matter of trying a couple different mechanisms, and then you found, you struck gold. So yeah, well, great. So here's Ted's contact information, and he is on Instagram as well as on Facebook.
Yeah, if my wife comes across it, she'll show it to me.
Yeah.
No, I will be watching for sure.
Yeah. And just to let you know, next month is Global Entrepreneur Week. There's Global Entrepreneur Week. It's a Kauffman Foundation program that's actually global wide. And throughout Kansas City, there'll be events you can attend, as well as there'll be online events. So it's the 14th through 17th. It's been going on for over a decade. And definitely you can find, if you want to learn more about the top ways to market on Instagram, Facebook, or just to start a business or to grow a business, find your market. They offer classes like that. And then also GuildIt will be opening up studios and co-working spaces at the Plex Pod. And if you want to hear more about that, contact me through GuildIt.org or after this gathering. And I wanted to also encourage you to tell friends about GuildIt, donate, and then you're welcome to stay and network with Ted and amongst yourselves. And two, if you have any brainstorm ideas, do pop an idea into Ted's Facebook page. I've messaged him through that as well. So even though he doesn't say he takes credit, he does. So he'll respond. So
yes, I will.
So great. Well, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it, and especially online as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank